Okay, let's unpack this. When you hear the word Milan, what flashes into your mind? Most people, I think, immediately go to high fashion runway shows, maybe the Quadrilatero della Moda.
And you're absolutely right. That is the very elegant, very visible tip of the iceberg.
But this deep dive is about the rest of that massive historical, industrial, and cultural iceberg.
Exactly. Our mission today is to go far beyond the catwalks and understand Milan's true core identity. This city is a truly cosmopolitan metropolis, yes, but it's also a strategic international financial center. I mean, it hosts the Italian Stock Exchange, a hub of massive global influence.
Right.
And it's a city that has spent centuries mastering this dynamic, often turbulent blend of ancient history and hypermodernity.
And when we talk about history, we are talking deep foundational roots. While Rome might claim the eternal spotlight, Milan is Italy's second most populous city, and its historical importance, well, it predates much of what we associate with the Italian Renaissance. Think about this. Milan was the capital of the entire Western Roman Empire.
From 286 AD all the way to 402 AD. That period really solidified its reputation as this vital, strategic northern hub.
Northern hub, yeah.
And its strategic relevance never truly faded, even when the political center shifted. What's fascinating, and I think crucial to understanding the modern city, is its post-World War II role. The destruction was immense, but starting particularly in the 1950s, Milan was the powerful engine. It became the economic and industrial powerhouse driving the entire Italian reconstruction effort.
The fairest economic miracle.
That's the one. And this reliance on engineering, on industry, on finance, rather than just historical preservation, that really defines its modern identity.
That sets the perfect stage. So let's start right in the absolute center, the historical heart, the Centro Storico at Piazza Duomo. The sheer scale of the landmarks here, it forces you to reckon with that long timeline, beginning, of course, with the Duomo di Milano itself.
The Duomo is an architectural titan. It's an enormous Gothic cathedral, and it's a building that doesn't just represent history, it represents, I think, commitment. It took many, many centuries of work, and here's a fact that provides just essential context. The final, complete structural work on the entire Duomo was only finished in 1965.
1965. It's the ultimate lesson in sustained ambition. But that extremely long construction time and the continuous effort required, that tells us something about Milan's unique priorities, doesn't it?
It does.
It suggests this endless pursuit of perfection and scale.
It does, and that scale is evident in the detail. So it's believed to be the church with the most statues in the entire world.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. And we're not talking about just a few decorative pieces. We're talking about over 3,400 individual statues, 135 gargoyles, and 700 figures adorning the facade and the rooftop.
That's just an overwhelming amount of detail.
It is. And yet, amidst all that ambition and scale, there is a conscious restraint applied to preservation. You shared a fascinating structural nugget about the bells.
Right. The massive bells of the Duomo are reserved to chime only on very rare occasions.
That intentional silence is key. It's maintained specifically to protect the structural integrity of the church. They recognize that the vibration from constant ringing, combined with traffic and centuries of stress, could compromise those thousands of pieces of fragile marble.
It's a profound, almost silent commitment to maintenance over momentary spectacle.
A wonderful example of balancing historical reverence with, engineering pragmatism.
And a highlight for any visitor, which lets you truly appreciate that structural effort, is the opportunity to explore the rooftop terrace. You don't just get breathtaking panoramic views of the city, but you are right up close with those sculptures.
Right next to the details. And stepping down from that monumental history, you transition immediately into another type of grandeur. The economic and social confidence of the 19th century, embodied by the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II.
Ah, the iconic shopping arcade.
Exactly, named after the first king of unified Italy.
The architecture here is just exquisite. It's a stunning example of 19th century iron and glass construction. You have this soaring glass ceiling, intricate ironwork, beautiful mosaics on the floors.
It was absolutely built to impress and to centralize commerce. And of course, this is still where you find the flagship stores of some of the world's most prestigious luxury brands. We're talking Prada, Gucci.
A real temple to consumption.
And right across the way, bridging the Duomo and the Galleria, is the Palazzo Reale di Milano. This former royal palace, it dates back to the 14th century, It served as the residence for powerful dynasties, the Visconti, the Sforza, later the Habsburgs. So it physically represents the shifting political power structures that controlled the region for half a millennium.
And today it's a major cultural hub, hosting high-profile museum exhibitions.
That's right.
That political turbulence is exactly what we need to dive into next. We're moving from the controlled elegance of the Centro Storico to the imposing political and military strength of the Castello Sforzesco.
Absolutely. The Castello Sforzesco began in the 15th century as a fortress, a symbol of military might, but it was quickly transformed into the residence of the powerful Duke Francesco Sforza. And that speaks volumes about that early Renaissance shift. A ruler needed not just defense, but also a magnificent space to display his power and, house his art collections.
But this complex, like the city itself, has suffered greatly. It had a really dark period, particularly during the French occupation in the late 18th century. It was stripped of its royal functions and repurposed brutally, first as a barracks, then as a prison.
Right. And we know that many of its treasures were looted or destroyed during that chaotic time.
Yeah.
Yet its enduring qualities, its current function. Today, the resilience of Milan is evident as the castle houses several critical museums like the Pinacoteca and the Museum of Ancient Art. And what's crucial here is that you can see works by Italian Renaissance masters like Leonardo da Vinci and Raphael, but the real jewel, the centerpiece of its collection, is Michelangelo's powerful, unfinished final sculpture, the Pietà Rondinini.
That alone is worth the visit.
Oh, absolutely.
To understand the genesis of that enduring power, we have to look back even further than the Sforzas. We have to return to Mediolanum. Before the Romans, the city was settled by Celts, and under Roman rule, it flourished specifically as a major center for trade and commerce.
All thanks to its strategic location in the Po Valley. And you can still see these ancient echoes integrated right into the modern streetscape. Think of the Colonne di San Lorenzo, that striking row of 16 majestic Corinthian columns.
They're visually stunning, just standing right there on the street.
They are.
And what's fascinating about them is their origin story and their relocation. They were originally part of a likely 2nd century pagan temple or a grand public bath. They weren't built where they stand now.
No, they were moved and incorporated in the 4th century, right near the massive Basilica San Lorenzo Maggiore. And this is a perfect metaphor for Milan's history. You have these pagan imperial structures being strategically relocated and used to buttress a new Christian basilica in the 4th century.
It physically shows the continuity and the strategic repurposing of power and architecture.
Yes, and today, that square around the columns is a phenomenal and energetic gathering place. A real blend of antiquity and modern nightlife.
It gives you a real sense of that layered history built right into the streets you walk on. Okay, let's pivot from historical power structures to the practical infrastructure that keeps this dynamic city moving. We're shifting gears to the rhythm and transportation that define the Milanese lifestyle, starting with the Navigli district.
The Navigli Milan's canals. This historic network, it dates all the way back to the Middle Ages. And they weren't decorative. They were essential infrastructure used to transport goods, materials, even the marble needed to build a Duomo.
So they were a critical engine for the city's economic development.
And its ability to construct those monumental buildings we just talked about.
And this is where the engineering mind of Leonardo da Vinci comes into play, isn't it? Though many were filled in or covered over in the early 20th century, we know da Vinci played a significant role in designing and improving the system of locks and dams.
Absolutely. He made the transport of goods efficient and reliable. That engineering pedigree is baked into Milan's foundation. It links the Renaissance artistic genius directly to practical, world-class engineering. Today, while most of the network is gone, the Naviglio Grande and Naviglio Pavese are used for tourism and recreation, and the whole area truly comes alive.
Thanks to a defining Milanese social ritual.
The aperitivo culture.
It's more than just a happy hour. Especially after 5 p.m. and on weekends, the atmosphere alongside the canals is incredibly lively. You purchase a drink, a Negroni Spaghiato perhaps, and you get complimentary and often quite substantial snacks.
It's a functional social and professional ritual. It bridges the long Italian workday and the famously late Italian dinner time. It's where business deals start, friends reconnect, and the city just collectively unwinds.
And speaking of tiny historical details, there's Vicolo Lavandai, the alley of the washers. It's tucked away, but this historic alley was once the gathering place where washerwomen used to wash clothes, right there in the Naviglio Grande.
A small echo of daily life centuries ago. And moving beyond the canals, you can't discuss the dynamic life here without acknowledging Milan's deep, deep-rooted passion for football. This is the home of two globally iconic clubs, AC Milan and Inter Milan, both of whom share the legendary San Siro Stadium.
On match days, that passion is absolutely palpable. It's a core cultural element.
It really is.
And speaking of movement and passion, we have to talk about the transportation system. It's one of the best public transport systems in Italy. Efficient, clean.
And it has deep roots. Fun fact, the first trams in Milan were introduced in 1876, and they were pulled by horses.
Pulled by horses, really?
Showing the city's early commitment to metropolitan logistics.
Today, the trams are electric, obviously, but they still operate these distinctive vintage yellow trams, right? Dating back to the 1920s and 30s.
They do. Their historic elements still fully functional within a hyper-modern network. And here's a perfect detail that locals love. Because of their distinctive bright yellow color, Milanese residents often lovingly call those vintage trams Milanese bananas.
Milanese bananas, that is definitely going to stick. Okay, that blend of utility, nostalgia, and slight absurdity, it just makes the city feel approachable.
It does.
So now let's move into part 4, where the tension we discussed earlier, old power versus new innovation, becomes most apparent. We're contrasting the traditional historic center with the leading edge of Milanese design and urban planning.
We have to first acknowledge the economic engine built on style. The Quadrilatero della Moda, or the Fashion Quadrilateral. This is far more than just expensive shopping. It is the economic nexus of the Italian luxury industry.
It's a highly prestigious, globally recognized district. Streets like Via Monte Napoleone. The fashion industry here doesn't just design clothes. It drives manufacturing, export, and international branding. This district is a tangible demonstration of Milan taking its artisanal textile past and successfully pivoting it into a global, high-leverage luxury market.
Right. And the cultural counterpoint to this commercial innovation is Teatro alla Scala, or La Scala. Since 1778, this has been one of the world's most renowned opera houses. Its status is built entirely on tradition and cultural excellence. It's celebrated for its opulent, horseshoe-shaped auditorium with this lavish red and gold decor. It represents the height of inherited Italian artistry.
Now, contrast that deep-seated red and gold historic opulence with the modern, almost utopian Porta Nuova district. This area is a shining, deliberate showcase of contemporary architecture and innovative urban planning.
Designed to project Milan's global economic aspirations. It truly is a bustling hub of commerce and finance. It's home to towering skyscrapers, like the iconic Unicredit Tower in Piazza Gao Lenti, and serves as a major base for global businesses and Fortune 500 companies. Pirelli is there.
So this district clearly signals Milan's commitment to urban renewal and an international profile that rivals, say, London or Frankfurt.
It does. And it's within Porta Nuova that we find an architectural marvel that perfectly embodies Milan's desire to lead in sustainability, the Bosco Verticale.
The vertical forest.
Yes. These are two residential towers completely covered in growing trees and shrubs, all managed by advanced irrigation systems. It's more than just aesthetic. It represents a pioneering, tested approach to sustainable living and metropolitan reforestation.
So by integrating nature vertically, Milan is showing how high-density living can actually contribute to ecological balance.
Exactly, and improve air quality. It's the ultimate statement that the future can look beautiful and green.
It's proof that Milan is constantly looking forward, building upon its foundations. Okay, let's wrap this deep dive up with some insider knowledge. The food, the style, and the truly quirky corners of the city that every visitor should know.
You absolutely cannot visit Milan without diving into the essential local cuisine, which is very distinct from the south of Italy. First, the famous risotto alla Milanese. It gets its unique, brilliant yellow color from saffron, a rich, creamy dish traditionally served with ossobuco.
And ossobuco is the braised veal shank, served with its bone and the rich marrow. It's a dish of deep, rustic richness.
It is. Then there is the cotoletta alla Milanese, a signature breaded veal cutlet traditionally left on the bone, pan-cooked in clarified butter. It's often compared to the Austrian Wiener Schnitzel, but locals will vigorously debate the differences.
I bet they do. And if you need something quick and tasty during a long day, what about the mondaghili?
The mondaghili, small, tasty meatballs, often made with beef, sometimes incorporating leftover bread or sausage. Very practical.
Okay, moving to style. The Milanese people dress stylishly and neatly, even for simple outings. You don't need luxury labels, but preparedness is key. Avoiding sloppy clothing, like gym clothes outside of a gym, is critical. Neutrals black, beige, gray, white are common.
Right, the emphasis is on tailoring over loud branding. And a vital safety and respect tip for anyone visiting the historical landmarks. When visiting churches, you must dress modestly. That means covering your shoulders and your knees. This is a non-negotiable expectation for entering sacred spaces like the Duomo.
And a crucial timing tip for your appetite. Italians eat dinner late. Don't expect restaurants to be busy before 7 years or 8 p.m.
Which is precisely why the aperitivo tradition is so important. It bridges that long gap between the late afternoon and the evening meal.
Finally, let's leave you with the quirky corners, because Milan isn't just grand landmarks, it has these eccentric surprises. For the macabre, you can seek out the Church of San Bernardino alle Ossa. Its ossuary walls are literally covered in pattern arrangements of human bones and skulls.
It's unsettling, but unforgettable. Or, for something entirely different and strangely beautiful, seek out the Villa Invernizzi Gardens in the Palestro area. Right there in the middle of a high-density city block, hidden from the street, these private gardens are famously home to a permanent, flourishing colony of pink flamingos.
A surreal, wonderful sight.
It really is.
So we've covered the fashion and the finance, but also the ancient Roman capital, the Sforza's political turbulence, the Renaissance art, the pioneering sustainable architecture, and the engineering that built the city. Milan successfully synthesizes ancient roots, artistic heritage, economic power, and this continuous forward-thinking innovation.
This blend of deep history and hypermodern ambition is what defines Milan today. So here is the final provocative thought for you to explore as you consider this metropolis. Considering Milan's ongoing aggressive urban renewal projects like Porta Nuova and Bosco Verticale, alongside its historic commitment to preserving fragile landmarks like intentionally limiting the ringing of the Duomo bells. What does Milan teach us about the unavoidable tension between rapid global economic growth and the necessity of maintaining deep cultural and historical silence?
Something to chew on while you enjoy that Caroletta and reflect on a city that is simultaneously ancient and aggressively futuristic. Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive.